Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Now, is that not picturesque behind me? I can see it through the camera, and it almost looked like it was one of those laid in, but that is real. So, what we're going to talk about today is sabotage. Sabotage goes right in line with narcissism. I'm going to tell you a story about when I went to my mother. It was around fourth, fifth grade, maybe six, and I said something. I wanted to learn to play an instrument because a lot of the kids were playing in band and things of this nature. And I don't dwell on the past. I just go back and I look at these stories, and it tells me everything I want to know once I understood that everything is a lesson in life. And if you go back and look at the story, what was the lesson? It was very clear. And it took me 50 years to figure all this out. But life is, when you live life with clarity, life is really simple. It's not that difficult. It is trying to get through all these sabotage, toxic emotions, and that sort of thing. But I went to her and I said, I want to play an instrument. Okay, what do you want to play? And I think at the time, I've gone through different instruments. I think it was saxophone in the band. She's like, no, but you can play the clarinet. I'm like, I don't want to play the clarinet. So later on, I went to her and I said, okay, I want to play an instrument. I think this time it was the drums. You know, another year or two went by or something like that. And um, she's like, well, I was going to get this piano. So somebody gave her a piano and put it in this little 2 bedroom, 1 bath house that we lived in, 900 square feet, and put it in there. And it's like it took up a quarter of the room. And she's like, you can learn to play the piano. And I'm like, I really didn't want to learn to play the piano. So she starts lessons for me and my sister. And because she's this kind, loving mother, she's going to give us these lessons, right? I don't know if my sister remembers this or not. So I go back to the house after I take a lesson, go back and I practicing on the piano. I'm like, it doesn't sound right. I'm young. I don't know any different. I'm like, this doesn't sound like the one that she played when I took the lessons. And some of the keys didn't work. They were dead keys. Come to find out, the piano was totally out of tune. My mother said, well, we can't afford that right now. So I'm sitting here practicing on a piano that will never sound right. You see where I'm going with this? Totally sabotaged. There's no way. So when I go back and the next lesson, it's like I never even practiced. And she's like, "Why? What? What's going on?" I said, "I practiced, blah blah." And it wasn't until the third or fourth lesson to where the teacher understood our piano's out of tune. Because I told her we have dead keys. The keys that don't play. And the teacher was, I think, just in shock. And I think we dwindled out and stopped taking them after that because my mother refused to tune the piano. I tell you this story because isn't much of life this way? They set you in a situation because if I ever wanted to do something after that, but she would always say, well, you quit piano, you're just going to quit everything or something like that. You're just a quitter. I'm like, well, one, I didn't want to take piano. Two, it sounded like crap, but it's because I couldn't make an out of tune piano sound good. It's looking back, I'm like, how can any human being do that to any child, much less your own child? How can a mother set her child up to make sure they were going to fail? My mother's done that my whole life. I can look back. I won't get into the details, but I had money saved up to go to college, and she beat me out of that money. I mean, it was just like every time I turned around, and I would fall into deep depression, and nobody was there. Nobody was ever there for me to turn to. Years later, rocked on, and I just realized that there is something wrong with me. See, I was looking at it all wrong. I still kept going back and blaming me because I'd already had 16 years of conditioning. But when I did eventually move out, I moved in with my grandmother in her cinder block basement, no heat or air. Um, my grandmother felt bad. I was living down there, but it was quiet, and it gave me an opportunity to quiet my mind, to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, finish school, and do something with my life. And and my mother was angry. My mother was pissed off that my grandmother allowed me to come over there. It wasn't about whether I was happy. I took control away from my mother. And she would call over there to my grandmother's house and tell her that that her house is the devil's den, and scream at her and all. And my grandmother was a good person. She just went through an abusive marriage. And I realized most of the problems we have here in this world are for narcissistic people. Imagine if we got rid of all the narcissistic people. I don't think that this world would be too difficult to live in. I think it would be quite pleasant, actually. It is the low conscious, abusive, narcissistic, self centered people that create hell for everybody else. These are the people that think they're better than, and my mother's the kind, she'll tell you she's going to heaven. And if God has a problem with that, she'll have a talk with him. That's her attitude. You just can't rationalize with them. You can't reason with them, and that's very sad. But we're talking about sabotage. My mother even sabotaged my marriage, my first marriage, all that kind of stuff. I look back now, and it just blows my mind. I'm going to tell you that on another storyline of my first wife and how that went down, and how I was sabotaged and set up on that. I'll do that on another video. I'm finally at a place in my life of mind, body, and spirit, and I'm living total harmony with my beautiful wife. And I do have my challenges on a daily basis. I realize everything that I've lost in life because of the abuse, and they're still attacking me. They're both my parents are still alive, and I got two siblings, and I'm still getting it from both ends. It's like I was born just to be beat up on in this family. It is the most bizarre, the most, I can't even explain it. I'm like, how did I ever get into this family? Somebody once told me we pick our family. I'm like, well, I never had good decisions. Never made good choices then either, did I? So I don't know, but I'm going to make the best of it, and I want to be able to help you guys live a full life of mind, body, and spirit. So this is Joe Cox for today. I wish you the best. Know that you're loved and that you have greatness in you. And we're going to dig and we're going to find that. Life Made Simple, helping you get through this narcissistic world. From my heart to yours, with much love. Peace. Bye-bye.